No Man's Sky. That takes me back all the way, I guess, to the launch of the game where I actually went to the midnight release. This was my first ever midnight release for a video game. In August of 2016, when No Man's Sky was set to launch, I was there at midnight at my local GameStop waiting to pick up my copy for the PlayStation 4 with more hope for a game than I think I had ever had in my life at that point. And when I took this game home and after we saw the product that was released to us, and we compared it to statements that Sean Murray from Hello Games made along with the gameplay footage that they had shown at E3 and in other promotional material, I think it's safe to say that pretty much all of us were disappointed by what we got. Instead of getting this massive game that had all of these different types of planets to explore with an infinite set of animals that we would never see ever generated on two planets alike, massive starship bases and all kinds of different factions to explore and interact with and get a lore from, and an overall beautiful exploration survival game that led us to go to the center of the entire galaxy. I mean, it's just safe to say there was a lot of promises made that should not have been made. Unfortunately, this game probably had one of the most overhyped launches of a video game that we have ever seen. I mean, the hype around this game was unreal, and of course, it was pretty much dead the moment that it launched. Virtually none of the features that we had expected to come in the game either came functional or were even present in any build of the game whatsoever. In fact, there were hardly any massive space fights. The factions were basically just vendors at that point. There was like 4 different types of planets that you would see, and honestly most of the planets either were not unique at all or were just so buggy and glitched that you didn't really even want to explore them. The game overall was just really buggy, was not optimized very well, even on like PC, and the game launched with probably at least 1/10 of the potential that it once held. Well, what if I told you that just around 2 years later, No Man's Sky is finally coming as the game that it should have launched as? I know the easiest response is to just say, well, I don't really care, I'm done with this game. I was done with this game back 2 years ago. But I think this has been one of the most, I guess, remarkable video games in at least recent memory, if not in gaming history altogether, because recent updates to the game over the last few years, plus one of the biggest updates probably in the game's history, if not the biggest update in the game's history, is right around the corner. Through these updates, this game has slowly but surely, I guess, morphed itself back into that original game that it was actually supposed to launch as on the PlayStation 4 and PC back in August of 2016. Obviously, we're all pretty aware of the fallout that surrounded all of that, the issues that came, the amount of hate that Epic Games actually received, and how this game was lambasted as one of the biggest failures in gaming history. But right now, I honestly see more potential in this game than I've ever seen throughout its entire history, even before launch. Because unfortunately, we didn't know that before this game came out, that they did not have a real finished product. This game realistically should have launched in some sort of early access, and I think that if it did, a lot of what had, happened around the game probably would have blown over a little bit more, considering that honestly the game did play like it was in early access, and it surely wasn't the product that we were expecting. Now with updates that have added all kinds of different dialogue, over 30 hours of dialogue coming in the next update, along with multiplayer and a third-person mode, base building has been added on the planets for a very long time now. I think it's been almost 2 years actually. Planets are receiving a major overhaul, bugs are being fixed in the game, and realistically, Epic Games has really worked hard to make sure that this game at least redeems itself, and I don't know exactly what they're doing it for. I think at this point, if it was really all about the money, they would have entirely already left the situation. I mean, they made plenty of money when this game launched. I'm one to know. I paid them $60 the day that it came out because I was so excited for this game. I waited in line at a local GameStop just to get my hands on this game, just so I could be one of the first people to play it. And while I probably wasn't literally one of the first people to ever play it, I was theoretically within that range, right? But I don't know if it's really fair to compare the current state of the game to its past. I mean, there have been so many different changes to the game. Each and every update seems to completely build off the base of the game and add so much more depth to it, and it's just truly unfortunate that it has taken the game 2 years to actually develop itself into what was marketed from the get-go. But I do truly think that it's remarkable that Epic Games stuck with this game, even though it was one of the most lambasted video games in history when it launched. Even though over the last 2 years we have kind of, I guess, laughed at No Man's Sky or looked back at it with, you know, just complete confusion and sorrow for this game, that they really said, you know what, we can't give up on this game. We have to do something and fix it. And now it's in the best state that it's ever been. It's actually somewhat of a completed product, and it's launching on the Xbox One in just a couple of days. Sony took a pretty big hit from marketing this game too. I mean, it was quote-unquote PlayStation exclusive when it launched. Of course, that just means that you couldn't buy it on Xbox or Nintendo products. It had nothing to do with PC because, well, honestly, making games console exclusive in the year 2016 onward just isn't a really good idea. But with the upcoming next update that, of course, is adding multiplayer that allows you, of course, to play with friends throughout the entire galaxy, you can explore together, major bug fixes and other updates that are going to help make the game better, a third-person mode, and the launch on the Xbox One gives this game more potential than ever, and I think that the community has actually seen that. As a matter of fact, within the last few days, on Steam's top-selling charts, No Man's Sky has made a reappearance. Recent reviews of the game are actually very positive, and people seem to be somewhat happy with the product that they now own. And for people who have never owned the game before or are trying to re-buy their way back into the game, it looks like they're doing it in droves, and that players have actually been increasing within the last week or two, because I'm guessing of the new update, I'm guessing that has a lot to do with it, but I'm also gonna guess that the other updates that have been coming over the last 2 years are not forgotten by these players either. Honestly, I'm glad to see that this game, even though I don't own it anymore, is making some sort of a comeback. I have a lot of hope for it. I hope that it can actually pull it off, and if it can successfully do so, it will truly be one of the only video games to launch in such a state that the entire gaming community absolutely hates it, but is then able to pull an entire 180 and make a move towards actually restoring itself into the game that it needed to be. No Man's Sky was a major disappointment, I will agree with that. It was one of my most overhyped games of all time, personally. It personally taught me that I shouldn't really stand in line at midnight for a video game anymore, because if a game for me can be so hyped up like No Man's Sky, but then launch in such a state that it did, it can realistically happen with any game. But watching it mold itself into this actual video game and grow over the last 2 years, and now with this, you know, huge update coming with the Xbox One launch that truly restores the game to what it's supposed to be, I'm actually considering buying it again. Now, my only problem with this game at the moment is the fact that it costs $60. This game should have never costed $60 from day one. I mean, honestly, the day that it launched, after all the reviews came through, everyone just absolutely, completely destroyed this game. From there on, there should have been a permanent price reduction because of all the lies that we were told by Sean Murray. And realistically, he did honestly lie to us a lot. There are multiple instances in which he promised features of gameplay that actually never even showed up in the game until obviously years in advance. Builds of the game that were promoted during like E3 or on talk shows or during promotional events are definitely nothing like the launch version of the game. And on top of that, the game honestly at this point is 2 years old. There's no reason that it should be $60 anymore, considering the trust issues that the community already has with the game and has had with the game for years now. And honestly, if this game was knocked down to even like $30, that right there is a great promotional tool. Just saying, hey, we know we messed this up. Look at all these free updates that we've put out for the game. It has made the game actually worth playing again. I think you should come back and try it. And as a matter of fact, the game is now half price compared to its, launch price. Honestly, this game really is probably only worth about $20 in my opinion. Well, at least the version that I last played, which was right after the Foundation update came. Because even at that state, the game wasn't, great. it was better, but it wasn't anything like it was supposed to be. Obviously, the argument can be made that the game is way better now. The next update is really important to the gameplay anyways, so I think that maybe $20 is a low point, but given all of the trust issues, I think that that would be the perfect price range to not only get people saying, hey, maybe I should try this game out, maybe $20 is worth the risk, and if this game is going to continue to get better over, I don't know how long its life cycle is going to be, then maybe that would be a really good starting point to, I guess, restoring the trust that they're already starting to restore with the community. They have a good leg up, I guess, when it comes to rebuilding this trust, but with players like me, the original players of the game, who stood in line for hours at midnight waiting on this game to launch, I'm not entirely sold that this game is going to be, you know, the best comeback in gaming history, but I think that it's building itself up to be so. Thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're brand new around here. We are almost to 100,000 subscribers, and make sure to turn on notifications for always to get live updates for all of my newest content and live streams as they come out. Make sure to also follow me on Twitter at @SubToOptimus for memes, thoughts, and updates on videos and other channel related information. Join the Discord below. We're having awesome conversations down there, guys. I think we're almost to 1,000 members or so in that Discord, so that's pretty awesome. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, wondering if I should buy No Man's Sky again, and signing out.